Welcome to Trail Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Shimmons. Thanks for tuning in for our ultra running show. This week, I'm joined by Mercedes Siegle-Gaither, a Merrell athlete. Before we get there, I gotta say thank you to our sponsors, XMiles.co.uk, who are your one-stop nutrition shop. You get all of your gels, things. Use the link in the description. And also Tantrums, the vibiest vests in the game right now. Also a perfect 15% discount. Link is in the description. You'll not find a better discount anywhere online, so thank you to Tantrums for that. Check out their Crest 6 vest. It is amazing. No bounce, 600ml bottles. I pair it with a raid belt to give 2 litres extra of storage. And also to GOREWEAR, we have the I Run Over Mountains 30 discount code for 30% off at checkout. It's one use per email address, so remember that when you're checking out if you're going back for another go. But anyway, let's crack on with the show. Let's go and chat with Mercedes. Mercedes Siegle-Gaither, welcome to Trail Talk. Where are you sitting right now, and how are you feeling after a great start to the summer? Last time I saw you was obviously at Western States.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to chat for a bit. I'm currently in Salida, Colorado, in a tiny home with my mom. She's visiting, so it's a nice little break from whatever reality is. I don't know. I was planning to live out of my car this summer, and that didn't really happen. So I guess that's not the worst thing.
Yeah, but car camping is fun, but you have the Alps coming up in a couple of weeks, so that'll be very fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Right now, I'm like training to train there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's a hard place to prepare for. Maybe to kick things off, for those who maybe don't know you or are new to seeing you on the podcast, could you give us a bit of a background of kind of how you would describe yourself and how you maybe got into the sport?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Mercedes Siegelgaither. Full time, I do forestry things, but I spend most of my time out trail running. And I think for some reason I decided I just like the harder, grittier things that no one else likes to do for some reason. I'm not really sure. I got into trail running. I studied abroad in Australia, which is where you are, actually.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a motivating place. I wanted to go to the beach every day, and I started running until eventually I was like, how much further can I go? And I did my first ultra shortly after that. I did the math, and I think I've been trail running for since at least 2012, which makes me feel old. That's 13 years. And so I think I just tried getting a coach and going a little bit harder the last few years, which has been a fun experience that I never expected. But yeah, that's a
Yeah.
little bit.
So, like, that's interesting because I'd looked at your ultra sign up, and your first ultra
No.
goes back to like 2013, which it kind of surprised me as well. So you've been in the sport for a while, but you're still like young, unlike me, who I have got into the sport around the same time, a few years before that, and I'm a good bit older, I'd say. But you've also had what I would say is maybe a perfectly steady increase through the distances to get up to the miler. I think you ran Leadville in 2023, so 10 years to get to the miler. How did it take that amount of time? What was this trigger to go further? And talk a little bit about like that 2013 to 2023 and the race choices.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably close to when Born to Run came out. So of course I had to start ultras like everyone else, and I I really liked it. I'm like, trail running's fun, and everyone's like, why are you smiling? I clearly was having a blast out there, and I I started with a trail marathon, got lost, ended up running a 50K, so did a 50 miler not too long after that. But then you can tell, like, when I went to grad school, there was a lull of me running ultras, and then I started running after grad school again, and then I dated this guy that didn't support my running, and you saw like another downfall in my running, and then we broke up and I started running more. And so I think trail running has just kind of been a big part of my hobbies and adventuring, because what Ultra Sign Up doesn't show you are all of the random places I've lived and tried to explore. And like going to grad school in Mississippi running kind of sucks. Like people look at you like you're crazy. They ask you like if you need a ride, why are you running, what's chasing you, the typical things. And so it's fit in so well with my life, and now I'm so appreciative that I have a job and a career that's pretty supportive of me doing these crazy adventures. And I think finding that happy medium, moving to Colorado, having an awesome community that supports running has maybe helped me get into the 100K, 100-mile distance a lot better.
You mentioned earlier, and you have it, I think, on your certainly on the Substack about the forestry service work. So, or your forestry focused environmentalist or something along those lines. Talk a little bit about that from the education perspective, and also what you're doing now.
Yeah, long story short, I started pre-med like most biology majors, and then I kind of just followed the opportunities. I did an internship training dolphins, and then got into grad school in Texas, which didn't work out. Ended up in Mississippi, and I got a full ride for my master's degree in forestry, which was awesome. Except I didn't fit in very well there. It was like very cliquey. It was like studying abroad, I say pretty frequently. It was just so different. And so moving from Mississippi to Colorado, I was so happy. And I kept following whatever opportunities sounded exciting. So I worked for the Bureau of Land Management for a little bit, doing some wildlife. I was a park ranger, some cadastral work, which is land surveying. And then I took an opportunity in the US Virgin Islands for like 7 months. I was the urban and community forestry coordinator for the US Virgin Islands, but it was too small after living in Colorado because you can run the entirety in like, I don't know, 5 hours probably of one island. So I ended up back in Colorado, and I worked for the Colorado State Forest Service for 4 years. And I went from being a forester to a supervisory forester. But right after I got the supervisory job, I got sponsored by Merrell, which was a crazy opportunity I never saw coming. And then I had the opportunity to do the Skyrunning World Series, which is really difficult in many ways. One of them being, besides the trail, that none of the races are in the US. So trying to be a supervisor and travel internationally for multiple races was a struggle. So I quit my job for half a year, and I kind of liked not I didn't like not working. I felt like I needed more purpose. And so eventually I ended up getting a job with the National Forest Foundation, which is a nonprofit. They're congressionally designated as the US Forest Service's nonprofit partner. So that's what I've been doing since February. And basically now I have less field work. It's more doing the contracts and trying to alleviate some of the work for the US Forest Service, which is really good timing right now because they're losing so much staff. And so hopefully I'm helping lessen the burden with less staff.
So, what does that look like day to day in terms of as a day job?
A lot of this, like talking on Teams, staring at little squares. I just had a contractor call and have to schedule our meeting tomorrow morning. So now I'm like, all right, I'll deal with that after this call. So, I mean, it's a pretty cool opportunity, and I never saw me in this role. I never expected to be in forestry. So it's kind of a really exciting opportunity, especially being a young female. I work with a lot of big, tall, bearded men. And so it's been a challenge, but I think that's why I like this career. And I think that's probably why I like trail running.
You mentioned about running the World Skyrunning series, and I assume that came as a to do with the Merrell sponsorship. I wanted to talk a little bit about Merrell. How did that sort of sponsorship come around, and what was that experience like of traveling the world for the Skyrunner World Series, which I have to add, I think is the best series in the world.
It's
Like
so cool.
they've been doing amazing live streams forever.
Yeah, they're kind of the OGs, but they're low key. But I feel like their content is so cool. You're like, wow, that's crazy. I kind of never want to do that, but kind of really want to try it. So with Merrell, I got so lucky. I overheard one of the Merrell athletes talking about this Get FKT challenge, while I was dying after Leadville. I literally finished, and he was talking to my ex about how he should sign up because they take 3 men and 3 women. Whoever gets to the top of the hill first wins a sponsorship. And I'm just like half passing out, like a little hypoglycemic, like I'm gonna do this. And so I applied and I got in, and my ex didn't, but then eventually applied because he saw that I did. And so that happened in Steamboat. It was so cool. They flew us out from Durango, which is, I don't know, it's only it's probably like a 6 hour drive. I don't know. But we raced up a ski hill 6 weeks after Leadville. So I was not trained for this at all. And me and another girl tied. And so they took both of us last year. And then they took Morgan Elliott for the men. And it was unreal. Like that kind of sponsorship doesn't exist. And I think it's so cool that they're doing something outside the box. It gives, I don't know, normal people an opportunity to get sponsored because it's so hard to get picked up. Even if you're doing the right races and you're winning them, you need so many things to come together. And so that was pretty cool. And having to do the Skyrunning series wasn't a requirement, but it was something that intrigued me because for some reason I'm drawn to things that scare me. I'm terrified of heights, and I never was that good at technical, so I wanted to dive in and see what happened. And my first race was La Palma, which we did some filming there, and they told me to just stop trying to say the name of the race. It's really hard to say. It's like Acantiados del Norte. I don't know if that's right, but
And you said it again.
I tried. I'm determined. I took 7 years of Spanish. But I had no business doing that race that early in the season. I was training on gravel roads. And of course, 8 miles in, I rolled my ankle and I tried to keep going. But the uphills were okay. The downhills were excruciating. And then a random PT on the trail yanked on it and it instantly swelled up. So I was out for a while. And then I tried again. I went to Mexico, and Mexico went well. I got seventh in the series, and you need a top, I think they changed it. It's a top 20 finish, and you have to do 4 races to make it to the finale. And so then I got sick after Mexico for a while. I got some kind of bug, of course. And then I went to Canada to meet the Minotaur, which is terrifying. It is not up my alley, but I did it. I went to scout the course, and I'm like, no way am I doing this race. I'm not gonna start. I'm terrified. And then I started the race anyways, and it was just survival mode, but it was such a confidence booster, like being afraid of heights and being able to kind of conquer those fears and not do terribly. I wasn't fast at all by any means, but it was a confidence booster knowing that you can do these things that scare you. So I had 2 races done, and then I went to Peru, and I got so sick. I made it 5 days, and then morning of the race at 2 a.m., just everything was exiting my body. I had my race bib on. I tried so hard. I tried to go downstairs and I'm throwing up. So I missed another race. So I was 50% on completing races internationally. And at that point, I kind of had to just reassess because you have a travel budget to work with, and just my body from getting so sick 2 times, I was a little bit hesitant. And then I had also made the US Skyrunning team, which is different. And so that race was in Spain in September, and it was a 70K. So it was about twice the distance as a normal sky race. And so for me to go to another 2 races, hopefully nothing goes wrong, plus the finale, I was just a little spent, unfortunately. So I'm still deciding what to do next year. But yeah, I love skyrunning. It's been an exciting adventure getting to meet the people, and even the people running the organization were awesome and so helpful. And I feel like I made a lot of lifelong friends that I wouldn't make just racing ordinarily.
So you still got the Skyrunning bug?
I do, yeah. I was actually just talking with my friend Travis, who's helping put together a US team for the North Central America champs in October, but I think I'm going to do 100K instead. But I have the bug, but I'm also nervous about getting a bug in Mexico.
I think you should take your own food.
I know. I think I had a coffee and they gave me water, and it was the end of the trip, and I'm like, oh, it's definitely filtered, and that was my mistake. So
Yeah, that'll do it. So like it's not that often you would see people doing the Skyrunning World Series or Skyrunning races in general and mixing it up with ultra distance. Are you still at a point? I mean, it seems silly even saying this, considering we talked about ultra sign up starting in 2013. But are you still at a point where you're picking the distances or the types of races that you like, or still figuring out what you're best at, or what's the motivation for such a widespread?
I feel like at this point I'm trying to figure out what I'm best at, and maybe it doesn't exist. Because I did okay, I think, at the US Skyrunning Champs in Spain. I got 11th, which is not like, wow, podium or anything, but I didn't know what to expect. A lot of it's off trail and it's really steep. And I think, they're trying to bring the best in the world together. And I didn't expect to even get 11th at that point, but that is a weird niche, like 41 miles with 15,000 feet of vert or 70K, 5,000 meters, give or take. Like that's not something people frequently do. And a lot of it was off trail. Whereas like if you're specializing in skyrunning, generally you're specializing in like the 30 to 40 kilometer distance with a lot of vert. So I'm not really sure. I thought I'd give Snowdonia a whack, and that was just skyrunning on drugs. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something.
we will come to that. That's definitely taking it a step further. Keeping on the Merrell side, Merrell have, I have to say, like they sent me some shoes a couple of years ago and last year as well, and I've been using the Long Sky and Skyfire 2. The Skyfire 2 is actually my favorite uphill workout shoe. It's just so light and so minimal,
Yeah.
and it also, even though it looks completely bashed, it's still in one piece and it wears incredibly hard. Like, what what are your kind of go tos from the Merrill Quiver, and do you have any input or feedback that you provide for development?
Yeah. Okay. I'm excited to nerd out. So, do you have the Matrix version of the Long Sky or the Skyfire? Okay. Yeah. Those are my favorite. I did a workout today in them. Generally my go-to, but they're coming out with so many shoes. It's really exciting. I don't know if you've tried the Adapt yet. They scared me at first because they're fat. They're like a 36 millimeter stack height, so they're bigger than most Hokas, but they have this flex plate. So if you roll, you're not rolling your ankle. It kind of bends with your foot. So I'm still a little hesitant. Like I did Hurt 100 and I had that option, but I feel like the shoe's just like a little too wide for all of those routes. So I ran in the Long Sky, which was a lot because it's a 50K shoe, and I swapped out at like 100K, but that was a little rough. My the pads of my feet were a little hamburgery feeling and sensitive, so I think I whined enough that they made me a special shoe for Snowdonia, and they took the Long Sky Matrix. They made it all black and added some cushion, and it is amazing. And I'm really sad. I think I need to retire it. It has a lot of miles on it, but I didn't change my shoe for 41 hours. I wore it the whole time. I just wore it pacing for High Lonesome for 8 hours. Like I love that shoe, and I'm still kind of like, can we make this shoe? Can we make it like a specialized version, just a little more cushion? Because it's amazing. And that traction and those lugs are so good on so much terrain, lack of trail, rocks, wet, slippery, everything.
Yeah, like the Long Sky and the Skyfire are so close, but
Hmm.
also different. I find that I initially was using the Long Sky a lot, and then I started using the Skyfire because I wasn't going the longer distances in it, and I liked the extra protection from the plate, and it's a little bit lighter. But I can imagine that shoe with a thicker foam would be kind of tasty. So are they?
Yeah,
Is this a one and done prototype? You can't get another pair.
I think so. I did text them like, so do we have anything coming out similar to that? And they're like, oh, kind of, but it sounds like maybe they'll make a couple more, which would be great. They sent me the Agility Peak 6, which I like that shoe for normal runs, but not for workouts. And I think if I'm going to be on my feet for 30 hours, it's just a little more stack height than I want. It's not quite as light. The Adapt are pretty tempting. I think maybe for like a buttery California trail, the Adapt would be really great. They came out with the Pro Morph, which has the Vibram soles, but they're really tiny lugs. They're more of like a road to trail shoe, but they're really great for recovery runs and long distances. So I feel like just a long Sky with more cushion is my perfect dream shoe, to be honest.
The Promorph looks almost like a bit of a style shoe as well. You know, that it's sort of feel to it. And Merrell have a long history of making good kind of style orientated gorp core. And if like I used to live in London, and walking through London, you'll see Merrell used head to toe, not in its natural habitat, just as a style brand. Do you get some of the style pieces as well, or is it just the performance stuff?
I have so many Merrell shoes. I feel like it's really cool what they do. They'll just take like the Hydra Mock bottoms and stick them on puffy boots or slippers. Like I have probably 5 versions of those. And what is it? I just got some boots and slippers and like a little tennis shoe where they use the same bottom. I'm not sure what the bottom is, but I kind of love that too. And I probably get a lot of people asking me about what shoes I'm wearing walking around the airport more than I was a Solomon ambassador, more than I ever was with Solomon. I think people kind of love Merrell's, and I think the designers do a really good job at making them pretty as well as useful on the trail.
Yeah, Salomon stuff doesn't really stand out, although they do have like their sports style stuff is a particular line, but they don't apply that same look to the current kind of performance gear, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a disconnect in that, whereas the Merrell stuff is kind of just the Merrell stuff. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about racing. So you've run 3 milers, Leadville, Hurt, and UTS. You're picking real doozies there. Uh, going back, I think was Leadville 2023.
Yeah.
So 10 years of trail and ultra running, and then you stepped up to the miler, and now you've done 3 in 2 years. Why did you step up? Why did you pick those races? And then I think we're going to have to talk a little bit about UTS.
I think I kind of am letting the lottery gods decide my fate to some extent. So I ran the Silver Rush 50 miler and I got second in 2022. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I got a coin. I have to do Leadville. This is the time. And to me, it's crazy. Like I'm from Wisconsin, which is sea level, and it's just, some rolling hills and cornfields. And I never thought I'd be able to run in Leadville or run mountains. So that was a really great experience, even though I think I was 15 seconds out from the golden hour. It was a long day. It was going well until it wasn't. Made it to Twin Lakes, and I don't know, so many excuses. I think I might have had COVID 2 weeks before. Something was off that day for sure. And so the day after Leadville, I signed up for Run Rabbit in Javelina. And then a week later, I'm like, what am I doing? No. So I did take some time. I always thought Hurt sounded really intriguing, just the routes going to an island, the experience. And so I didn't get in the first year. And then someone on Instagram was like, hey, you got in the second year. And so I was like, cool, this will be a fun experience to train for. Training for a hot technical race in Colorado in winter is very difficult. And I went through some struggles, but uh, yeah, I got really sick like a month out and I lost maybe 20 pounds and my training was just garbage. And so I almost wasn't going to go, but I went because things are non-refundable and I showed up to the start line and I had a rough day. Like woke up at 2 a.m., beginning of the start, got my period, fun girl stuff, just like ovaries hurt so bad. Took a Tylenol. I'm like, oh, we'll see what happens. And it went pretty well. I was following Candace and Andrea, who both have podiumed at that race after the first loop. And I was like, oh gosh, I feel like we're going pretty chill. This feels good. Like, I'll just hang on. And Andrea and I had ran maybe 30 miles together. And so I messed up my electrolyte math somehow and just kind of, I think, slightly poisoned myself. And I was taking 750 to 1,000 milligrams of electrolytes per 500 liters per hour and just slowly destroyed myself. And so there's 5 loops of 20 miles. The fourth loop, I didn't eat anything. I couldn't. And then the fifth loop, I ate some banana pancakes and no more electrolytes and started coming back to finish. And I was so happy to finish behind Casey Lichtig, just because she's an absolute legend. And so after that race, I was just happy. I feel like I recovered. I got to go lay on the beach. I'm like, all right, what race can I do? What am I good at? I want to fix my electrolyte imbalance and eat. And so I don't know, Snowdonia came to mind. I'm like, what's the hardest one? And I really want to auto qualify for UTMB because that's maybe less technical and actually on trail compared to Snowdonia and a lot of vert. And I like just grinding it out in the vert. So that's kind of where that trajectory went. And I didn't get into the high low lottery last year. So that's why I didn't pick that one. So kind of all over the place. And the opportunities are amazing. I had so many friends come out to her, and for them to be able to come to Hawaii and go to the beach and experience the race itself, like I was so thankful that they were all there. And I thought I could recreate that in Wales, and then I couldn't get a single person to come to Wales with me, which is a bummer. It's beautiful.
Well, I mean, it is beautiful, but UTS always seems to get hot weather, and that's not the norm. So those hills in the heat are beautiful, but also brutal. One of the themes that's starting to come out here is you're picking really technical stuff, you're having to travel far for the races, and you're learning a lot during the experience. So you continued that theme on and picked UTS, which honestly, I think at this point in this year anyway, people now know UTS is probably one of the hardest UTMB World Series races. So why did you pick UTS? And let's like talk about that trip across.
Yeah, I was trying to find a qualifier, and the UTMB Australia race was full because I love Australia. I studied abroad there, so I'm like any excuse to go back. But I was a little hesitant because it looked pretty smooth and not as much vert. So I wanted more vert, not necessarily the vert that I got or the
Very
technical that I
different.
got. Yeah, like there's a trail that would have been cool. But I don't know what got into me. I was just looking at the different geographies, and also I'm like, okay, Hurt isn't international, but it is a big travel bump. And so I'm like, well, to do an international 100 sounds exciting. If I end up by myself, preferably they'll speak English. And so that kind of guided my decision a lot. And then my friend Anime's like, sign up for this race. If you get top three, I'll coach you. I'm like, oh, that sounds really tempting. And it just looked beautiful. I love that it was in the mountains and lower elevation, but it was a little bit more technical than I expected. And like you said, I was thinking the temperature in Colorado would be perfect training, but then not a cloud in the sky, not a tree out there. Maybe like 0.5% of that course has trees. And it starts at 1 p.m., but the sun didn't go down until maybe 10 p.m. And so I put on sunscreen. It wasn't enough. I got burnt the first day. And then the second day, I felt like I had sun poisoning. I remember the sun came out and I took out my mandatory sunscreen and I was just plastering it on my face and I looked purple. I was just afraid of the sun. So I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's a bit of a journey for you to travel across to that. And you traveled on your own, and then you were able to recruit a couple of crew locally, is that right? Talk a little bit about the crew.
So I messaged Precision. I'm an ambassador for them and I knew they're based out of the UK. So I took a long shot to see if anyone was interested in crewing me and I got to um very kind folks to help me. Toby and Benji came out. They drove 6 hours from Bournemouth up to, we'll say Clanbarris. The place I was staying has a T and a Y, and I cannot pronounce it, but it was beautiful. And so they volunteered out of the goodness of their hearts to crew me. You can't have any pacers, and so they went to all of the aid stations that they could, and I'm so thankful for them. And only one person can actually come into the aid station. So Toby was my crew chief and took care of me. And I asked them at the end if they would crew this race again, and they said no. And then I found out at Western, the precision crew told me that that's the longest race that they've crewed. So I don't know if that's, I'll take that as a success. I don't know.
So those guys were part of the precision team. It feels like after the experience at Hurt, that might be the perfect partner for you to recruit. How did the precision partnership come about? And talk a little bit about that sodium sweat testing and like
Yeah.
how does that marry up with your over electrolyting at Hurt?
Yeah. So did you go to TrailCon this year? So that's where I met Brad, the athlete manager last year. And he was talking to someone else and he's like, "What's Merrell?" I'm like, "Merrell? You don't know what Merrell is? You're athlete manager and you don't know Merrell?" So I was just instantly like picking on him. And I guess, it was enough that we became Instagram friends. And right before Western, I saw him and he's like, "Oh, hey, you, like, here's a hat." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to wear a hat unless you give me some gels. I haven't even tried them yet." And I got him some Merrells eventually, and he sent Merrell some Precision. And I was trying to get other people sponsored by Precision. And then he's like, "Well, do you want a gift card?" And I tried it and I'm like, "Wait, I love Precision. It works really well." I got a sweat test and they gave me the sports scientist to kind of help me figure out and dial in my salt and my imbalances that I was having and how many carbs to do an hour. And so I've been working with Emily with Precision, and she's been amazing, and she helped me dial everything in. And then just having them out there for Snowdonia was amazing because you don't have to explain to a normal human, like, this is what I want for 30 to 40 hours to eat and drink. And then if I need to troubleshoot something, they can dial that in really easily. And so, like, I was doing gels. I was doing 90 grams of carb an hour for the first 15 hours. And then it was so hot. I'm like, I just want to drink my liquid. So they helped me shift that. And they're amazing. I love them. I've never felt this way about a nutrition sponsor before.
They certainly had like the best activation at TrailCon this year.
But
They
yeah,
sort of like they sort of stole the show with the 100, well, it wasn't even 100 meter, it was like the dash, whatever distance
yeah,
that was, with
with a
the
turn.
inflatable. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Did
the
you do it?
booby I didn't know. I was standing at the turning point watching the tactics of who would pull it down
Yeah.
behind them.
They threw bows. I almost got knocked out.
Yeah. So you mentioned about in Hurt doing, I don't know, was it like 1,000 in 500 mils by accident?
Yeah.
What was your sodium, what is your test rate?
So I tested at, I think it's like 665, something like that.
So you're actually low as well.
Yeah, and I overdid it. I like messed up the math in my head. Like I was trying to go for 750 milligrams of electrolytes and 750 milligrams of water. And this was a day before the race, maybe two, that I was trying to fix my math. And I just put 750 in 500 milligrams of water, and I just slowly poisoned myself. Yeah, I didn't realize, like, oh, you can do 500 and 500, just drink more of it. So I learned things the hard way sometimes.
Yeah. So in terms of UTS, that was that your first race without a pacer?
Yeah, and I kind of liked it. But it's weird because I don't know, I guess that's middle of the pack. I don't know. There were only 20 women and I ended up in sixth. But there are a lot of men you can run with at that point. And so I didn't have a pacer, but me and this guy, the last 50K, just quietly agreed to run together and get each other through it without saying that's what we were doing. Like we'd get each other like, hey, let's go. Too long in the aid station. Like, oh, you have to pee. I have to pee too. Like it's the ultra running is the weirdest sport where it's like completely acceptable. Like, yeah, hurry up. And I'm actually really thankful for it because like Snowdon isn't that technical, but the sun was setting. It was absolutely beautiful when we did that. Not a cloud in the sky, no people, but it was getting dark and it was getting windy and I was sleep deprived and I was just like nervous I was going to fall off a mountain. And so having someone to kind of just be like, let's go, you're fine through that was really nice. And there were so many little trail angels out there that helped me. Like, I'm super appreciative of the random strangers I met.
Isn't that like the beauty of the longer distance, the miler distance in particular? The yo-yoing kind of stops in a sense,
hmm
and you do end up being close or in the vicinity of people who are in and around your pace. And those you end up making like almost friends for life at that point. You know, you just spend so many hours of problem solving with these people.
Yeah.
So, have you are you still in contact with this trail buddy?
We're Instagram friends. He's actually like a really big influencer. I think he's the mental health warrior, something like that. Um,
Okay.
and he does all of these really long races. So yeah, I keep an eye on what he's doing. I don't know how he does it.
During the UTS, you did have like bad sun exposure, and like it's really a difficult race. How close were you to sort of pulling the plug?
I think I was pretty close. I So this race was tough too. Even 20 miles in, I was texting my friend saying, like, I'm not mentally here right now. I'm not invested. I'm just so burnt out because I didn't really take an off season last year. I went straight into Hurt in January. I crewed Black Canyon in February, raced Big Alta 50K in March. April, I crewed Lake Sonoma. And then the week before Snowdonia, I crewed and paced Cocodona. So I was absolutely just exhausted. I flew out by myself, took a red eye to London. I get to the rental car, I'm like, oh my God, I'm terrified to drive on the other side of the car, on the other side of the road after a red eye. And I'm like, well, we'll just 1 mile at a time. And I stopped halfway in this cute little town and it was just like going through the motions because I'm like, I can't not, you can't not. And so there are a lot of little things that I just think messed with my brain a little bit more. And even the start line, they're like, okay, the elites, get ready. We're going to call you out. And the precision guys are like, yeah, that's you. I'm like, I don't know. My YouTubers, my score's garbage. Like, they're probably not going to call me. And so we get up there, and this guy just won't even look at me. And so Benji was like, hey, she's trying to ask you a question. He's like, oh, bid 55. No, it's 15 under. You're not elite. So I'm like, okay, fine, hit to the ego, whatever. My score is even worse now. So I go to the back of the corral, like mosey to the middle, I'm like, whatever. And then they call my name. Like, damn it. That guy was just kind of a jerk. And I was like, all right, I just mosey up to the front, anyways, all the way from the back. And so, like, little things like that, I think they all just wear on your mental stability. And so it was cool though because they had 20 women and 220 men, and they had all the women come up to the start line, and it's just insane this day and age to believe that's still a factor that there are so few women running that race. I understand why, but I feel like our finish percentage was the same. It was like 60% or something for men and women. So I think that was pretty cool. I forgot the original question. I started just rambling on my tangent here.
Yeah, but you did bring up some good points because like that travel across, the drive, just the whole upheaval. You probably started that race with jet lag as well.
Probably a little bit. I feel like I don't get as messed up as I hear some people do with jet lag. And I think the 9 hour straight flight from Denver to London made it a little bit easier. But yeah,
One of the questions or one of the topics that we always kind of have, or we've been discussing in the Trail Talk WhatsApp community, is about ultra and what is ultra. And obviously, technical answer is anything more than a marathon. The term ultra is to go beyond or something in Latin. And like, what is it? What is ultra to you? Like, where do you see that? Like, one of the points that I've tried to make, kind of in jest, but also trying to get across that there's a big difference between a 50K and a miler, but also there's a big difference in a 14-hour miler and a 30-hour epic in the Welsh mountains. So, like, what does ultra mean to you?
that's a good point. I saw your post and I've been thinking about it, and it's a completely different experience. Like if you're doing a 14-hour Western States time versus 40 hours in Snowdonia, like you see different things. You experience so much more. Like a 4 or 5 hour 50K, it doesn't feel like what I think of when I think of ultras anymore. Like I don't want to undersell it. I think it's an awesome race and you can test different things like speed and endurance still, but it's like we need another term now because they're so different, and like you're generally not going to hallucinate during a 50K or just fantasize about sleeping or consider your mental health a little questionable during a 50K. Like, why am I doing these things? Like, I don't know. UTSA is just like every possible thought, questioning every little thing. Like, why am I doing this? Am I a runner? Who am I? Like, imposter syndrome worse than I've ever had it before. Like, I'll never do this again. And then like I can't wait to do this again, and like befriending strangers, and I don't know, it's just such a different experience. They're just different. It's hard to call them the same thing, like both ultras.
Yeah, it's there's such a spectrum of what ultra is, but I think one of the themes across it is that it's about pushing yourself personally beyond like that. If that is a 50K, then great. But once you've done a 50K, maybe you need to push to the next thing and to the next thing. And maybe you end up doing a 40-hour epic at UTS.
Oof. Yeah, I feel like that's a part of ultra, right? Just pushing yourself. And who doesn't want to keep going to the next distance? And then once you hit that distance, I don't know. I don't know that I need to go do a 200-mile race.
I wouldn't put it past you, to be fair.
I wouldn't either. I keep saying no, I have no interest, which like doesn't mean anything. So,
It's certainly just another adventure, and I think that's what one of the main things that draws us to all of these things is just the adventure and the experience, and you just get more of all of those things in the 200 miler. And now you've run with Candace, so maybe you could get a discounted entry because that would help with the 200-mile distances as well.
I don't think she gets discounts. And I don't know that she thinks I'm a friend.
Okay.
I don't know. We didn't talk much.
So let's switch gears a little bit. The point of doing UTS, the World Series event, was to get an entry for UTMB, the finale, the big show in Chamonix every August. How much of a like draw is that for you?
I think it'd be amazing. Like, I would love to do it while I'm still sponsored, so I have a little bit of help going to go stay in Chamonix because I know that's not cheap. And so it's like, well, I have a 2 year contract with Merrell. So I'm running out of time to get in. It's like I have till what, October, November to get in for next year. And then, but I get it. It's like, oh man, they're so good at marketing and making money. Like I've done 2 pretty expensive races and I haven't qualified yet. So what's the next one? So I'm still dabbling with that. and debating what I want to do with my near future and kind of figuring out that purpose. It's like, okay, well, I just got a coach. Maybe that will help me dial in what races I want to do and just kind of having a level head. Like, how many races should you do in a year that take this long?
I
So,
mean, you're probably talking October, November. You could go for another miler, but also can't you qualify at the 100K and move up a distance? Can't you go? You can go up a tier.
yeah. Yeah, so it's funny you say all of those things because I am signed up for 2 races and I'm trying to keep them kind of low key because
Okay, you don't have
I
to
don't
say.
I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, I'm so fit. I put so much time into this race. I'm going to crush it. And then, like, you make it 20 miles in. I think sometimes social media is a blessing and a curse. Like, it's great making friends through it, but putting that pressure on myself, I'm trying to, as a fly, trying to do a little bit less of that. And I'm really excited. But the 2 races I'm signed up for, I know I can't do both. It's 100K and 100 miler, 2 months apart, and I've spent most of my travel budget because Oahu and Wales are big travel races. But one of them is Ultra Trail Cape Town, which I'm really excited about. But I feel like, do I need to do 3 hard 100s in a year? I don't know.
And that's also a hard rock qualifier, that
I
miler.
know that's another goal. I gotta start soon because Hurt isn't anymore and Snowdonia isn't.
Yeah, I was just saying this to Ricky yesterday that he should, although he's not wanting to do hard rock right now, he wants to focus on UTMB. I think it would still be useful to start collecting the lottery tickets and putting your name forward for it. So I've been doing it since 2016. So
Oh
I must
wow.
be. I'm gonna get in soon. So
Yeah.
I'm planning on going next year, regardless, to experience it. Maybe do like a soft rock and be there for the race, because I think you know I gotta get like it has to happen soon. I gotta get in soon. It's like the only race that is still out there that I 100% want to do. So that's how I pick my milers. You're picking UTMB qualifiers. If you can get a UTMB qualifier and a hard rock qualifier together, it's a rare one.
Yeah, I have to look at the updated list. I think they might have added some.
Yeah, yeah, they have. What's your thoughts on the World Trail Majors series? Is that something that you ever consider or think about? Is it something that Merrill ever talk about?
Meryl hasn't mentioned it. I know my friend Imogen, who's from the UK, is doing really well in the 50K, and she's such a crusher at all of these distances. And I think she might be ranked in like the top 3 for the World Trail Majors, and it's just I don't know, no one talks about it. And so trying to figure out a way to maybe get it a little more steam would be exciting. But I remember when it first came out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be huge. This is so exciting. And I kind of looked at the races and thought about it. But then there are so many other, like Golden Trail Series, Skyrunning. There's just so many options to pick from.
Yeah, I think the World Trail Majors it it's like a non-American series. There's what like the big hitters on that series are uh, essentially some of the old world ultra trail world tour races like Cape Town, the 100K, and Hong Kong 100K is kind of like the original one there, and a load of the other races. So it seems like an easy way to have like a good series. There's good potential prize money, but it doesn't seem to be targeting American athletes. Whereas if you compare that to like the rise of even the UTMB World Series events, there's been 2 or 3 added in the US just since World Trail Majors announced that they were a thing. So if you end up doing the 100K at Cape Town, you do World Trail Majors. If you do the 100 mile at Cape Town, you've got a hard rock qualifier. So
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
how much of that really would play into a decision even for you? Is there any contractual things with Merrell where they're like, we sponsor the Skyrunning World Series, we would like you to do some of this. do they have like, we would like you to turn up at UTMB? Like, what are the things that Merrell talked to you about?
Not at the moment. I think they're relatively new to the trail athlete team, and so we're kind of getting there. I think this year we might have our first trail team, I don't know, what are you calling it? Event, uh, group get together. It's going to be in
Athlete
Detroit.
camp?
Yeah, but it's going to be in Detroit. And so Corey,
What are you
yeah.
doing, Corey?
Well, so this is a good start because then, that's where Merrill is based out of in Detroit, and we can use Saucony's testing lab to do all the cool lactate testing and some group runs and hopefully show Merrill and all the higher ups why we're worth investing in and what we're doing and that we're real people and get to know them, do some group runs. And so hopefully that would build off of us being able to have a group camp at Chamonix next year, which would be great if I can get into that race.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is a good point. Merrill, I mean, a lot of the brands will use the athlete camp as the photo shoot as well, for an upcoming release. Have Merrill done anything like that with their
Yeah,
team?
actually, so they've been giving the athletes the opportunity instead of, hiring models to do a photo shoot, which I think is a win-win. We get really cool photos and they don't have to tell a model how to trail run. And so I got to go, Corey and I did a shoot in Nashville, Tennessee for the Adapt. And then I think Corey and Rachel got to go down to Chile for a photo shoot. And then last year I did a shoot in Bozeman with John G, did the collab with the Agility Peak. So we have those opportunities coming up, and I think that's beneficial to everyone. And I appreciate those.
I noticed that you wore Janji stuff at GTS. Is there a sponsorship there, or what's the connection with Janji?
So actually, we're working with John G this year. Our new kits are John G with just Merrell printed on them. So I'm really appreciative of that because John G's been doing this for a few years now, I think, at least since 2017. And so they have really good technical gear that's good for hot weather, it's good for layering, whereas Merrell is traditionally hiking and they're getting into really good technical trail running shoes, but they're not getting into technical trail running gear at the moment. And so I think we're going to partner with someone and change some apparel things, but like at the root, Merrell is trying to appeal to hikers as well. And so I'm not sure what gear is going to look like moving forward because I know a lot of brands have tried to do it and sometimes it just doesn't work out when a brand is trying to make a pack. How do you appeal to a 100 miler and a 50K specialist or sub ultra for the same gear when you have a team of, do we have 8 right now? 5? We have a very small team, so
The European audience will not like the fact that you said sub ultra there.
what do we call it?
Just shorter distance, just short distance.
Shorter distance.
Short distance, ultra, sub ultra. That is, I think Debo coined that phrase. So
Oh no. Okay. Shorter distances. I mean, just because they're shorter distance doesn't mean they're shorter races. Just throw in 5,000 meters of climbing.
yeah. So moving into this summer, you're going to be in the Alps in a couple of weeks. How long are you over for? What are the plans? What are you looking forward to? Do you have any kind of sponsor obligations when you're over?
I'm so excited. I'm looking at pictures right now. Just like I said, I'm trying to train so that I can train there because it just goes straight up and you're just in the mountains. But I don't have any contract obligations. I'm going to crew CCC. So it's going to be kind of my first vacation, I guess. I'm not working because I can't work internationally. And my job is letting me take 2.5 weeks off, which is very generous. And I wish it were more. So I'm trying not to complain too much. But I've never been to Chamonix. So
But you haven't been.
no.
So will this be your first UTMB?
Yes, just crewing. I'm not running any events.
Yeah, but honestly, whenever you're running, it's just a stressful experience being there. It's going to blow your mind.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
It's gonna be so busy, but busy, full of trail runners, super fans, gear. I mean, have your bank balance in ready to get hit hard because there's so many things and so many cool shops. Um, so your crew in CCC, is that a Merrell athlete? Is that a precision athlete? Who you crewing?
Um,
If you can tell us.
he's Precision and Brooks. I have no affiliation with Brooks, but I'm crewing Chris Myers, so I'm excited to see how he feels and how he does, and transitions from a running race to a mountain, partially hiking race.
Yeah, but still a shorter race than states in terms of time as well. So um, someone else doing the states UTMB double, although CCC is probably a much nicer double than having to do 2 milers in the summer.
Sounds really nice. And they're completely different, so you can kind of transition your training. It's not getting stale, maybe. It seems like
Yeah,
a
a bit
fun
of a
change
break,
up.
a bit of a break from all of the run training, the hike up, run down type of thing, or maybe for Chris, he'd be running a bit more of those hills than your average person.
I'm sure. He's still young and spry.
So, what other plans do you have? Like, you're going to be over Crew and CCC. Are there any things that you want to experience whenever you're in the Alps? It
I'm
sounds like you're probably leaving like straight after UTMB if you're just over for a couple of weeks.
September 1st, so a couple of days maybe after.
Yeah, that's like a Monday or Tuesday. I think maybe that's the Monday. Yeah,
I think so,
that
yeah.
that is the day that everybody leaves Chamonix.
Oh man. Well, that'll be fun. It'll be a little airport rendezvous. I don't have any plans except for just enjoying the mountains and hopefully eating a lot of delicious baked goods. But if you have recommendations, I will take them all.
Yeah, I'll share some of those offline. You will not have bread better than
Oh
Chamonix
man.
bread. The baguette is amazing. A baguette a day is all that you need, and it's about
Yes,
€1.50, and that is it.
that sounds perfect.
All right, Mercedes, thanks so much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, and yeah, enjoy your time in Chamonix, and we'll catch up with you again.
Yeah, look forward to chatting abroad. Thanks for having me.